If you're planning a trip to the Philippines, you're going to need somewhere to stay. But there's a few things that you might want to bear in mind when you're looking for and booking your accommodation. Stay tuned for some of my thoughts on that. Finding somewhere to stay is never completely simple, and it's the same in the Philippines as anywhere else. I would like to caveat this at the start by saying that most of what I'm going to say doesn't really apply if you're staying in high-class hotels, luxury resorts and such like. A stay will have overcome most of these problems or most of these considerations that I'm going to mention. There are a few things that you really want to bear in mind when you're looking for this accommodation and things to look out for and consider. Number one, hot showers. It might seem like a really trivial thing, but hot showers are actually not the standard in the Philippines. So you really need to bear this in mind when you're looking at any accommodation that you're going to book through booking.com, Airbnb, that sort of travel site. If you see this normal sort of shower, which is very common in the West, you need to be aware this is not a hot shower. Most Filipino homes don't have central heating systems and centralised boilers the same way as a lot of Western homes do have, especially in Europe. So unless you see this box on the shower, on the wall next to the shower, then it is not usually a hot shower, with the exception of some luxury hotels, like I said. So yeah, unless you see that white, usually electric box on the wall next to the shower, it is not a hot shower. So you want to be looking, when you're looking at the pictures of Airbnbs and apartments and places to stay, try and make sure that you look out for this box or you will be getting rather chilly showers. Thank you for Misty for pointing this out to me, because I was booking all the wrong places. Number two, brownouts. Brownouts are fairly common in the Philippines, and these are power cuts. So this is where you will lose all power completely for a period of hours, maybe 4 hours, maybe even up to 12 hours, maybe even a day. They're fairly common, but you do need to be aware also that if you've got contact with any locals, they will have an alert system. So usually the people are warned when the brownouts are coming, so quite often they're planned either for repairs, expansion works, who knows. But they happen quite a lot. And the things to be aware of with brownouts is not only do you lose all your power, which means no fans, no air conditioning, which makes it really warm, but also there's a situation that most houses have like water pumps to provide all the water. So if you have a brownout, quite often your water is off as well, which means no toilets to flush, anything like this, no running water. So again, something to plan for. A lot of people just disappear off into the local malls, take advantage of the aircon and that sort of stuff when the brownouts happen. But most places don't have solar, don't have generators and stuff like that. Again, only the big hotels and resorts might be set up that way. Number three, critters. Critters is quite a broad sort of topic for this, but I'm just sort of highlighting that there's no real way to keep the wildlife out of your places when you're in the Philippines. And this is, in certain aspects, frustrating. Sometimes you just have to accept it. So geckos are the first ones. These little lizards you will find everywhere. They crawl up the walls, the ceilings, and they find ways into your properties. They're not really particularly harmful, and they can actually eat a lot of the other critters that you might come across, so they can be good for that. But the one problem is that they just poop everywhere. But then there's also ants. Pretty much everywhere I've stayed, there's been ants been getting in. I don't see any way to avoid it. The houses aren't sealed in quite the same way as they are in the West, so there's no real avoiding it, I don't think. All I would advise is just be careful about how you store your food. Don't leave like partially cut fruits out and things like that, because ants will find their way in and they will be all over it. Keep the place tidy and clean and you're generally okay, but you'll see a few ants in the place undoubtedly. There are also potentially cockroaches. I've been lucky so far. We've chosen decent places to stay. I haven't seen any cockroaches inside any of the hotels or the rooms or the houses where I've stayed, and I'm very grateful for that. but I have heard lots of stories of them, and I have seen a few outside, some of which actually ended up getting eaten by other things, but I am told they can be a problem too. There are also potentially more exotic critters, if you like, wildlife that might find its way in amongst you, depending on where you're staying. I have seen videos where snakes and all sorts have been seen and spotted, so again, just maybe something to be aware of. Number 4, air conditioning. Of course, the Philippines is a tropical country. You're going to be looking out to try and make sure that your place has got aircon. That's pretty obvious mostly, but you might want to pay particular attention to whether the place has air conditioning in living areas as well as bedrooms, because a lot of Filipino homes don't. You'll just have fans in all living areas and kitchen and dining areas and such like. But to be perfectly honest, I haven't found that a real problem. It's nice, obviously, to have aircon in your main area, but not a deal breaker, put it that way. The other thing to bear in mind with aircon is that a lot of the units are really old, which makes them very noisy. So if you're one of these people, sadly like me, that sort of needs pretty much near silence to get good sleep in, you could struggle a little bit, in which case I would strongly suggest you do try and look for places that have the more modern split unit aircons, I think they're called. I'll put a picture up. They're a lot quieter, of course, and allow you to get better sleep, probably work much more efficiently as well. Not that that's always a problem if you're renting a place, because quite often you're not paying the bills as well. Number 5, location. Now, the location may seem fairly obvious one to consider, but what I really mean by this is try and check out the area you're going to be in, look for transport links. Are you close to a mall? Can you get around quite easily, and all this sort of stuff? Can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, but also if you're going there for the first time, you don't know the lay of the land, you don't know your way around. It might look like you're getting a place in a little downtown area, which is perfect, and then you get there and it's all slummy and there's lots of beggars everywhere, or the rougher types. You just can't always be sure. So if you can, check the area out in advance. Again, always read the reviews on the places that you're booking, but just be aware, a place can look great, but if it's not in the right area, it can be a nightmare. I've got to be really, really thankful for Misty here. She's actually picked out for me or highlighted to me when I've been booking places that are very prone to flooding. And this can be a real problem. You don't want to suddenly find it's rained and you step outside your door and you're walking through 6 inches of water to get to the nearest road or to get to the nearest store or anything like that. Just little things like this to be aware of. Some areas are obviously going to be better than others. If you have got a local, use them, would be my advice on that. It's a really, really key thing. Honourable mentions. A few extra little things to be aware of as honourable mentions, I guess, to finish off this video, because there are some other things that you just want to be, I suppose, advance warning around. One of those is noise. The Philippines is a noisy place. The aircon can be noisy, there can be cockerels running around outside, people love to play loud music and they love to sing. They've got a great reputation for being great singers, and I can confirm that. They are generally very good. But it's a noisy place. People have old engines that will be starting up everywhere. Some people will start the car for half an hour before they go out to take the kids to school or to go to work. There could be dogs barking. The world wakes up and you know about it in the Philippines. So just something to bear in mind before you get there. Another honourable mention is laundry. Most places that you book won't have a washing machine, and if they do, it may be very, very different to what you're used to, especially if you're from the West. The good thing, though, is that there are loads and loads of laundry stores, laundry shops, scattered everywhere within reach, because it's the same for a lot of the local people. These places are good. You can take them a couple of bags of laundry in, leave it with them for a day, either later the next day or the following day. It'll all be ready. It'll be folded nice and neatly, all dried and smart. And like I say, all of what Misty and I wanted doing, we got done for 170 pesos, I think, which is pretty cheap. So you're looking at less than £3, possibly around $3. Not a lot of money to be spending on laundry. And they're everywhere. You're easily within walking distance of one, pretty much no matter where you stay. The final mention, and this is obviously the most positive one, is the cost of staying in the Philippines It's generally very, very cheap. I stayed in probably the second best hotel in Tacloban, certainly luxury-wise for the rooms, and that cost around £50 a night, so maybe $60, $65, something like that. Not crazy expensive. I've rented houses also that have cost anywhere from sort of £40 a night, so sort of £40, $50 maybe, right down to £23, so maybe $26, $28, something like that. And these were all modern houses, all aircon mostly, pretty good locations, 2 bedrooms, fully functioning hot showers, the works really. So you can find some real value, but it's worth shopping around, looking at the areas. And like I say, if you've got somebody who's a local who can point you in the right direction and give you a few hints and tips, even better if they can go and look at it before you book something, then you're on to a winner. Please let me know what you think. I'm sure there's a load of stuff I've forgotten. Let me know in the comments below. Ask any questions that you've got. Happy to help wherever I can. Thanks, everyone.